How do I look?
You look good.
Yeah.
Overworked and underpaid.
You look cozy.
Yeah.
This is the
Some of us
deep.
live in a place where there's winter.
Hey, we had winter for the last 48 hours. It actually rained in Southern California. I don't know if you saw. I don't know what news makes it back there or not.
No, actually,
down
I did
your dirt road.
I seen that Kaylee posted something of a tilled fire road, and I was like, and the dirt was like moist, and she was like, "Oh, this is the greatest day ever," and I was like, "Oh, it looks like my backyard." We can have that any day. It rains every day. No, it's good. I seen that rain. You guys, man, you're really coming up in the world. You guys have less dust.
Dude, it rained. What was that? Saturday night through Sunday and Sunday night, and I rode all day Sunday. And from when we started to when we ended, it was dry by the time we were done because it got sunny and windy. And then I went and shot photos yesterday with Mikey at Ted's, and it was just full dry. It's not dusty, but it's definitely not like it's like baked dirt now. Goes by quick, but I go to Reno Friday, so then I'll be up in NorCal for the next month.
No way.
So fingers crossed it snows a bunch.
Dude, it snowed in the Grapevine.
Did it?
When I was driving back on Monday night, there was snow when I got gas.
See, I got some shit in my eye. It's supposed to, there's a storm coming this coming weekend in Tahoe, but it's supposed to rain. Like it's going to be really warm. I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah. Yep, it was sunny on Sunday in Santa Cruz. And then it was freezing cold and like up near Tahoe on Monday.
Dude, it was like a high of like 6 degrees here for like 2 days. It was so
actually.
Yeah, it was so. We had like that, like we got that cold front that nuked Florida. Yeah, we got a freeze, dude. It was like everybody was like, pipes are frozen.
Oh, yeah, dude. Did you guys get a bunch of snow and stuff, or is it just cold?
Yeah, we had some snow for a minute, but that one was just we already had snow, and then it was just cold, but not too bad. Max was able to ride moto one day in the yard, and it was too crazy. It's nice now. It's like 50 today. Honestly, 50 here feels like California. Yeah. I'm honestly not shitting you. Like I go out there and everybody's like, "Oh, it's 65 degrees." I'm like, "Fuck, it's cold here." Like dude, that's something about the humidity.
It's been like 60, but like a cold 60 here.
I know people always, well, like when you grow, I mean, same for you, Tanner. Like you guys, it was pretty moderate. It was climate where you grew up in NorCal, but like down here was definitely as mellow as it gets. And people would always give me crap growing up about like, oh, you can't deal with the cold. And then I moved my ass to Idaho to deal with it. But when I was up there, I was like, why is it like 45 today and sunny? Yeah. And I'm like sweating on a ride. We're back home. It can be 60 and sunny. And it's like, it is so crisp. And it's totally humidity and moisture and all that, where like it bites way harder down here. It's been like in the 40s at night, but like I'm bundled up like I would when it's in the 20s in Boise.
Yeah, it's wild. Every time I go out there, everybody like tells me about how the weather's so good and the temperature is so good. And I'm like, I'm freezing my ass off. Like it's cold. Like I brought a windbreaker because it was supposed to be 65 and I am hurting.
My house has like single pane windows and stuff. So like it's just all night just freezing.
Yeah. See, that's what they also don't say or tell you is that like it's so moderate in SoCal that they don't like plan for anything. Like my house has a terrible heater.
No insulation.
Yeah, zero insulation. There's no AC. So in the summer, we have like one of those little units in the room. It'll be like 95 in our room before we click the thing on. And I'm like, that's too hot. Like that is like an actual sauna.
I insulated the shit out of this place. Sweet. The only thing I'm bummed I didn't do is insulate my whole bedroom so it was soundproof. That would have been sick.
I'm pretty sure my van has more insulation than the house, the cottage I live in right now that was built in the 19-teens.
Yeah.
Whoever told you that you needed to insulate your van and get a heater was like living on Pluto. Like maybe if you're going on a ski trip, but dude, you got a diesel. You don't even need insulation in that thing if you got a diesel heater. You're chilling.
I do need to get a heater. I don't have one of those, but like,
Makes such a big difference.
Oh, I know, but like when we go snowboarding and like stay overnight at places, I'll like run the van for 30 minutes and like bump the heater, and it gets it warm and it lasts for like an hour. And then I have a Mr. Buddy heater for like up and doing stuff. It's only, I don't think I'd run a diesel heater when I'm sleeping anyways. I'd probably still click it off, but like sleeping can get kind of cold. But you make do.
Yeah. I don't know. The insulation is just nice when it's like burning up in the summer.
Yeah.
And you're not cooking.
And now they make these like 12-volt little ACs that you can put on the roof now that are sick, that run off solar. That would be a van life game changer.
Yeah.
I need that. I didn't know that it exists. Well, I haven't looked into AC in a bit.
Yeah, they're sick.
I have bad news is my solar battery is definitely taking a dump because my fridge won't make it through the night now.
Oh.
Which it used to be able to make it like 4 days with no sun.
Which one do you have?
You got a
Goal
gel
Zero,
one, don't you?
Which battery do you have?
I don't remember what brand it is. It's just like a AGM gel, whatever they are. It's not lithium. But it's like a 230 amp hour. And it's one of the nicer ones where you can drain it lower than 50, which I think is like kind of stock for that style battery. But it is like, I've had it running nonstop for over 5 years. So, and it hasn't had like a heavy strain on it, but it's still been, charging and then
doing all right.
Depleting. Yeah, it's not surprising. It's just a bummer because I like enclosed it in my bench seat. So it's like a good 2-day project to get this one out and a new one in. And now we're going to Reno, which is when we use the van the most to go skiing and stuff. I'm like, well, the fridge will stay cold. It's probably gonna be cold outside, but we're not gonna have much light. So yeah, or phone charging or any of that.
And no anybody wants to buy a Sprinter?
You got one for sale?
Yeah, I do. 230,000 miles, 4-cylinder, 7-speed. The van everybody wants. The van, just with a lot of miles.
Is it built out?
Yeah, relatively.
Well, send me the link. I'll post the ad in the description below.
At Dakota Norton is selling.
Are we live podcasting right now?
Yeah, why not? This is just a random midweek coffee and bee practice.
Did the podcast start when you said, "Hey Dakota, how are you?"
Probably will. Yeah. It's a good place to cut in right there.
Nice. All right. Well,
I mean,
maybe leave the first part out. Party's over, dude. Go home.
I think I'll leave out our uneducated discussions on the state of the bicycle industry.
Oh, that was recorded?
I don't know. It might have been.
You got it, dude. Jason's an industry guy now. He works for Vital. You got to keep an eye on when that red light's on.
Yeah.
What you say?
I forgot the red light's like in the top corner and not at the bottom. And I was like looking for it at the bottom, and I was like, "Oh, he's not recording. He's good."
The last podcast we did, he was like giving me shit about gloves, and I was like, I'm losing sleep at night. I'm like, I'm getting fired. I'm so getting fired.
Dude, they hired new people. You better watch out.
I mean, if Alpine Star gets mad because you got some glove preference
because you said some dumb stuff, it never came out of my mouth. I did see Jet Lawrence this weekend. I was watching on Soupy. He was wearing the glove I like. He knows what's up.
There you go. He probably listens to the podcast.
Yeah,
I bet you he did. He probably listened to the podcast. And he's like, yo, I need to get me some of them. Gabrielli.
We're gonna chat about mountain bike stuff, but first 3 rounds into Supercross. What's your guys' thoughts? What stands out?
I have been every week leaning over the end of the chair, like Eli Tomac block passing Vince Freeze for a main event win. Last week, Ando is absolutely shredding. Obviously, had a bit of fade in the main because he's sick. I think to me, his riding, it definitely looked like he faded. He said he was sick all week. He was absolutely shredding, and that's a bit of a subject with Jet Lawrence. So it was pretty good to see. I was like, oh man. And then with the first race being kind of chaotic in the rain, the Supercross this year has been delivering.
Yeah, it has been good. Dude, and Kenny up there, Mr. Consistent, red and yellow, never looked so good. Yeah, it's dude, even last weekend, Justin Cooper, just in LCQ, worst gate pick, and just whole shots and leads like doubles the amount of laps he's ever led or whatever it was. Yeah, it's pretty
Tomac's
sick.
gate last weekend was a bit of a disappointment,
dude. And
dude was arcing.
Yeah, I listened to the Gypsy Tales podcast, and I guess apparently his 450 is like more than a 450.
Oh yeah.
Like he's the only dude that runs a tuned motor. Yeah, full tuned motor. So like for him, and I was actually listening to, I'm actually a big fan of Pulp. I listen to Pulp every week. They were talking about start maps, and like obviously the ECUs that Honda run, they have the the traction control for the Honda. And then they were talking about Justin Cooper with his start map. And I listen every week. Love listening to Phil Nicoletti. Someday maybe our buddies around here can get him to come ride downhill, so then I can give him a hard time. But I really enjoy it. Like I listen to that podcast every week, and it's pretty insightful, especially with like, you know, all the motor stuff that goes on. I wouldn't even think about a start. Like, you know, it's slippery. Did they put in, you know, a start map? And obviously Tomac said that was the best gate he had. It was the best gate all night, and then the worst gate you could have in the main. And like somebody snapped that photo of him, his like peel out mark.
Yeah, Kiefer, I think got that.
Yeah, so pretty cool, dude. I mean, how tough did he look in the red gear, red boots? I mean, woo! Sick.
Yeah,
it's a good time to be a moto fan.
Good time.
Like everybody's crushing, and even
you know, Sexton is like ripping too. Even he hasn't had some starts and had some misfortune of first turn crashes and stuff. But
I think he was another one who was sick. Like everyone's been sick. So, dude, that Cole Davies kid, I'm such a fan. I've listened to the press conference after the race, after his podium.
Dude, full Ricky Bobby.
Dude, he is so laid back. Like there was 2 or 3 questions where like they asked it and he kind of answered it real simple, and then they reframed the question, and he would just have like one word. Like they were like, do you think you were like going to be on the podium? You're trying to get a win? And he's like, yeah, you know, like the plan's to get a win this year. They're like, oh, well, but like, are you like surprised to get a podium this early on or whatever? And he's just like, no. That was it.
Just full, I like a Kiwi too, like such a Kiwi, like so under the radar, like nah.
It's pretty tight. And yeah, dude, all of it's good. That Juju Bumeri kid's coming on form.
And like, Jordan Smith has been like kind of not crashing all the time. So
I did
sick.
Except for last week.
And I was like, yo, Jordan's about to crash right here. And then next thing you know, he was on his head, and I was like,
yeah. I was like, said the same thing. I think I was watching with one of my brothers, and like we were like, man, Jordan Smith, like he's been doing pretty good. Like hasn't been crashing his brains out all the time. And then
honestly,
it was like, dude, you signed that guy to get the TV time. Like
that
your brand's getting TV time, and then he's gonna
hit a little close to home, dude. I was like watching Smith, and I was like, oh, he's gonna crash right here. Watch. And I was like, damn.
This is what people think of me.
Start looking familiar all of a sudden. You're like, wait a minute. How did I know that?
Oh, dude. Every time he's about to do really good, he crashes. And I'm like, wait a second.
You're a TV time sign.
God.
Dude,
what about the news of Lucas Myrtle stealing the Lawrence brothers' money? That's gnarly.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And then the Pulp interview.
I know, listen to that. What they get into?
Well, he was on they did like a just one-off with just Mathis and Myrtle.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that he even said anything or like talked.
He probably shouldn't have.
Like, I'm like, dude, yeah, you know, this is America. Like, you don't, like, if you're innocent until proven guilty, but like, also like, your words can be twisted.
Yeah, you also like allegedly took money from like athletes, but also part of an agency that surely has a ton of lawyers involved. Like
the biggest agency in sports, basically. Or like one of the biggest.
I guess they didn't even tell him. He like woke up and seen it online and was fully blindsided by it. Like they didn't even like go to him or like nothing. They just made a public statement that he was fired. It's like, what?
Yeah. Crazy. Or like it was rumored that he was fired and then he got the statement of like, he got the letter and email and everything that he's fired as like the statement came out. It seemed like, the whole timeline of it all, but Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like there's an easy way for him to either like quote unquote accidentally be taking money with all like the side businesses and everything that they had around the Lawrences, the merch lines, the donuts, the like collabs and all this stuff. There'd be like an easy agent fee thing that would go straight to him, I'm sure, but also don't know any of the details. And it just, yeah. I know I told John Hall and like Chuck and we were like at a group text and John Hall like put that in. He's like, dude, you guys see this? And like it was like right when it came out and I was like, dude, yeah, you just saw it. It's super gnarly. It's like he's about to be representing Russian UFC fighters next.
Why does it feel kind of fitting though, you know?
That's what I'm saying. It's like it just seems like the next move is Russian UFC fighters.
Yeah. Well, clearly it's not affecting Jet, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, and they just got the new bike and like they had the new bike problems already, like just transitionary to new bike. And I was like, dude, you're about to put on this whole drama on top of like having to get on the new bike and not having enough time on it because they were racing in the off season and they're like, yeah.
Why? Here's our way to transition this into bikes a little bit. With downhill, you guys are developing bikes, but there isn't the pressure for like, we're going into 25, you got to ride the 25 version necessarily. It seems like more things get kind of developed and put out. Like, sure, there's goals in mind, but like, it's not like moto where it's set. And I've always been so confused by moto where it's like
homologation stuff.
Well, it's just like if the Lawrences are doing bad, people are like, ooh, something's up with Honda. Like literally, even though none of us, well, maybe Dak, but none of us can freaking ride Supercross, we like correlate their success with like how well the bike potentially might be.
Or like the stock bike is nowhere near what
exactly
the bike that they're riding is.
Yeah. But when they're like, you know, whatever, they change chassis or suspension or whatever, and they like go backwards and they're always like Sexton all of last year. I'm always just like, dude, if you're trying to win races, it seems like you guys are wasting some time with this. Where like, it seems like you guys with your new downhill bike, you work on it. I'm sure Mondrager's got like, hey, we got to get this ready for 25 or 26 or whatever it might be. But like, if all of a sudden you guys are like, we're going the wrong direction, I'm sure there's not like the pressure to just run it. I know it's probably happened in the past, but it seems like a way better way to do it. I don't know.
I mean, that's what happened with kind of like the Carbon Intense M29. It was like the aluminum was sick, and then they really didn't do a whole lot of prototyping on the carbon, and they just went straight to the carbon, and then no one really got good results.
Yeah,
on the carbon one, and then they complete redesign once Aaron came in and was like, "Yeah, this thing is not." And now
it makes you wonder, huh?
Like,
well, I was trying to explain this to one of the young girls that rides at the bike park. It's like she's been riding and testing or trying to test, you know, and I'm like, it's 12 degrees outside. Like the ground is frozen. Like you can't feel anything. And I think that people as a whole, like get really excited about like, you know, getting ready for the season, getting the bike set up. And it's like, for me personally, like, yeah, I have direction and I don't have to like, I see this with the young kids, like they don't take the time to do like a bracket test and they don't take the time to actually figure out what everything does. And they don't take the time to figure out what changes do what. And you can do all that stuff in a week, right? Or even 3 days. Like you can do in 2 days, take 2 days to do a really good bracket test. And then you can do, you know, get the bike close. Obviously it's going to get stiffer as you get up to speed, right? The bike tends to be soft at the beginning of the year. Speeds are slower, but when it's muddy, like what are you, unless you have the bike in a really good place and you're doing like frame rigidity testing or relative 5% softer in the mud, like things like that, like you don't have a baseline. It's like you see all these teams testing really early on in the season. Chances are most of the teams do 2 to 3 camps. They need to shoot the press release, so they need to have everybody in one position, so they do a camp, right? But also like we're getting links made. For the most part, you're changing maybe some crowns, maybe some links, maybe some head tube angle, things like that. But the biggest things, frame rigidity and links, and we have access to that as factory riders. So like it's really easy to get kind of excited when people see like all the pro teams testing in December, but what people don't realize is we don't have in-house CNC machines. We don't, like most of these race teams don't, right? It's not like we have a 6-axis Haas $1 million machine setting in the Mondraker factory racing race shop, you know, like they have lead times, they get things made by company, you know, like, I mean, maybe some teams do, but maybe, you know, they have the resources at the bike companies to do that. But for the most part, you're going to have, like, you have Chinese New Year, like you have lead time issues that, like, if we need a part to get made, it may take a month. So like we need to do this stuff in December. We need to have the press release ready for January. And then also January, we might not get the parts till February. And if that's not the right direction, then we're pushed into the race season in March, you know? So like, but for the most part, if you're running a stock bike, and you're running stock links and pretty stock suspension, like you should be able to do a bracket test and be able to have your bike at a pretty good place in 4 or 5 days, like to race at, you know, a semi-professional level.
Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe are not breaking down the tracks enough too when they do their bracket test. It's like they're testing for the whole track and not like the sections that would emulate actual racetrack, which is what I've done in the past. Like, dude, I had like 6 sections of track, or like I'd test in Santa Cruz where it's just the most insane trails that are just so good that you're actually going backwards. Like you just put your suspension as hard as it can go and run your tires at 30 psi and you're good to go. You're gonna be ripping.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Or having goals in mind when you go out, like actually trying to achieve something. With developing stuff like you're talking about, how much of it for you now, or maybe you in the past, is a brand coming to you with like, hey, we have these new links to change X, Y, and Z on the kinematics? Or is it almost always you asking for things because you're looking for something out of the bike?
I think this is where, like, I watched that Red Bull Motorsports, you know, we're talking about motocross and the differences in these sports. And like, I watched the Red Bull Motorsport, like the last video they put out was pretty in depth on suspension and, you know, they talk a lot. I think it was either Factory Connection or Race Tack on what some riders want and the anomalies of riders, and not all riders are looking for the same thing. And they're kind of, you know, working with the suspension engineers. I've never had someone come to me and say, hey, we have these options. Hey, we developed this for you. I'm always the development guy. I'm always the one wording. I've never had a test rider. I've never had someone bring something to me ever in my career. It's always been me going to them going, hey, can we make this change? Hey, can we work on this? And also, like, realistically, I don't think ever in my career have I had like a lot of leadway into the race season. I've kind of always been doing it during the season too. Like never have I like had like a really good base going into the season. It's always been kind of, we're waiting on something to get changed by round 3 so that we can develop it in between round 3 and 4. And then, you know, it's always a moving process throughout the season.
Do you know of any like teams that have an actual test rider? Because like Loic and Finn are doing all like the most of the testing for like the new demo. I mean, they have Nico and people in house that are working on stuff, but still, like, I guess like a high level test rider. That's
who has
like
a Christian Craig?
Yeah, exactly. Or like a Brock Tickle.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing, like in this sport in general, like a lot of the engineers and the people that are developing these things, other than, I don't know, maybe Specialized, maybe Trek. I don't know for sure. I know like insider knowledge, like
the Kirk McDowell, I guess, like more Kirk McDowells.
Yeah,
he's the only example I can really think of. Like Nico's a sick rider at Specialized, but like he's not in World Cup finals as well.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of brands have access to a few high-level riders that help product development, but it doesn't cross over straight to race teams. Like I think of Bryn with Shimano. Like he helps Shimano with a ton of development, but it's not like he's calling up Dak and like riding something on a Monday that Dak races on a Friday sort of concept. It's more just like months and maybe years in advance working on product development, which is cool, but there is still a separation of race team and, you know, brand general development. But I mean, it's kind of makes sense. And like, I mean, too, Dak, with you, obviously you're always chasing the next thing, little gains here and there. But like you talk about going to the season, you maybe don't always have a base, and then you're working on things throughout the year. But probably at the same time, you do have like somewhat of a base or built on like previous year's setup and where the bike's at. It just means that you're still always chasing everything or chasing something, which everyone is doing.
Yeah. I always have like a relative ballpark of like my preferences, right, and what I'm looking to achieve. And they like you have to kind of adjust those to the strengths or the weaknesses of the bike. So it's like we know, like relating it back to Supercross here, we know that Jet Lawrence was looking for a stiffer frame. Now he has the stiffer frame. Now he needs to make the suspension work to that stiffer frame, right? And then so it's always like there's some things that are control and some things that are variables. And then once you change, you know, the control, then the variables have to change for the whole system, the whole ecosystem to work together. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, he's like, they might've thought that the bike was working great. And this is the same thing. Like I'll go to, say we go to Portugal, we go ride at, Lotion or not Lotion. I got a podium there. Where's that track at? You know, place in Portugal we go to. I forget the name of it. The swing at the top of the hill. Anyway,
why am I drawing a blank?
Greg won there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron beat me by 0.11.
You just said Lotion though, and that threw me off. I was like, "What are you talking
about?" No, in Portugal. But anyways, you go there, you're riding. You know that at that place, like the bike's going to be, your head tube angle is going to be a bit steeper than what it's going to be here. So you're like, you know that you're going to drop this 2 mil to optimize for this track, but that's not going to be like base. You know, like Lusa. I was close, dude.
Lufa and Lotion. We were so close.
Yeah. So it's like you have like a relative, you know, thing. And like for me, I really like my rebound to be like fairly linear. Like, and I really like a damped bike. I really like a specific amount of things. Yeah, super damped.
Just soaking wet.
Jordy's cringing. You know, there's things that I like in a relative range that I like of like progression in the linkage and things like that I've found over the years of working that I like from working with different engineers and from, you know, riding different bikes. And I understand like a general bias I have, and every rider is going to have that. And that's the same thing that they're working on. All these bikes are incredible. Like every one of these bikes you see that like has been developed by a rider is going to be really good. It's just like, is the whole package 5% in this direction or 5% in that direction? And you know, what is the rider's preference of like all these, like if you put the data system on, all of the numbers are in a general ballpark. Like for me, I like a little bit less dynamic sag in the front than I do the rear. Like I like my bike to actually ride a little choppered. And we know that. And then a lot of the time the engineers are pushing me to spring up in the rear, but I like it to ride pretty deep, but then I don't like it to ride that deep in the front. So, and you can see that when you look at my bike, and there's still some things from the year I'm working through where I'm looking at the bike and I'm going like, dude, why did I not drop fork pressure? Like I watch my bike work, and I've had so much time now that I'm broke off to like watch film and go through race runs and watch races. And I'm like, man, like if I could have just seen me, or if I was more prepared and had more film of the bike to relate these feelings to, I could have maybe changed some things. But also at the same time, like as the bike is evolving through the season, you get 9 runs on a World Cup to make those changes and get the bike the best you can for that track and race. And then you get maybe a week and then it's time to do it again. And like for me, like I worked so hard on the bike during the season that I was the weak spot because I was so fatigued.
Mhm.
Like just because of the amount of runs I did, like my overall system was, I was just tired because I felt like I was always chasing my tail. But at the same time, maybe it was, I should have just taken a step back and just came into the weekend fresh and made the changes for that track.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like a tough one to maybe chase down a feeling or a goal one weekend. And then do you reset for the following race, or do you feel like you were confident in what you were kind of going, that path you were going down, and stick with it? And like, same as moto, we hear about it all the time where like dudes are trying something and then they look like shit in the whoops and they're like, yeah, we tried something, it didn't work. But like clearly they didn't purposely try something bad. You like think you're on to something, and then it's, kind of going back to that zero is important, I think, as well. When you were talking about whole bike being an ecosystem, cause and effect of changing different things, and you're saying you have preferences with just, like suspension and ride height, sag, all of that. What's the one thing for you, if you change, has the biggest effect on your whole bike and then causes you to need to like adjust other things?
I think leverage.
Okay.
Leverage and progression. It's just where the back of the bike sits has such an effect on all of the other things. Like when we talk about, we just like Tomac, he says he's coming out of the corners, right? And then once the bike sits too deep under acceleration, he starts losing the front, right?
Mhm.
Well, is the issue that he's losing the front, or is the issue that the bike is squatting too much, right? So like when I hit a corner and the bike squats too much or doesn't squat evenly and I start to lose the front, that is, for me, even like with the taller bars, like I ride the bike pretty deep in the rear. So like I need to be able to get a lot of weight on the front. So I'm like actually like actively while I'm riding, I'm leaning over the front and making an effort to bend my arms more mid corner. Right. So like I hit the corner and usually you get some G's and your legs start to squat and then when you get to mid corner, depending on whether the bike grows or gets shorter, based upon rear end length and what your rear end length is going into the corner or what it is once the bike is compressed, you have a tendency to like squat and almost like the G-forces will almost pull you back on the bike. And then it's really easy for the bike to squat too much and then start to push the front because now the front is unloaded in terms of your body weight in relation to the bike. So as my bars come up and then on the Mondraker, it does get a bit shorter with a VPP bike when you hit a corner, rather than in the past on the Intense, it would grow quite a lot. So then my whole weight is getting transferred off the back of the bike. So I'm actually working to bend my arms a bit and push my chest over the front of the bike to try to keep a neutral position in a berm. And when the bike squats that much, your head tube angle's getting pretty open. Your fork pressure is a thing. Your fork rebound rate is a thing. It even goes down to handlebar height. There's front tire pressure. Like there's a lot of things, right? But for me, yeah, the squatting of the bike in a corner is really getting that squat to feel like equal, and also like so that I don't feel like when you want it, the fork is a little softer, so the bike squats. But then when you get on steep terrain, like it tends to feel like you're getting thrown over the front or getting pushed, especially in modern World Cup racing when we're trying to run fast rebound to get the wheel back in contact with the ground to get grip and also to move across the ground quickly. When you do point the bike downhill, the fork is softer, the rebound's still fast. Guess what? Now you're getting pushed and it feels like somebody's actually pushing you over the handlebars. And that's a pretty uncomfortable feeling. And some riders are really good at managing that and riding really deep in the bike. Like you see, like he'll stand really deep. But he also runs low bars and a soft fork. So he has to stand so deep when it gets steep. I'm not as good at that. Maybe it's a strength issue. Maybe it's a low back strength. Maybe it's lats. But actually my training is optimized to try to help me be stronger in these positions that are the positions that maybe I'm not as good at riding in.
That's a lot.
Sorry.
You change one link, next thing you know, your whole workout in the gym has changed.
But no, I mean, like that. These are things that I'm working on as an athlete. Like,
no, that's the answer I was looking for, and I expected.
Bit in depth.
I mean, it sounds like
run on, but
balance is maybe the main thing I hear from all of that. Is like really at the end of the day, though, you're trying to what's good for you balance wise. If you're just calling like body over the bike, front to rear, and where you feel comfortable, a lot of it is changes to make the bike fast, and then making sure you're staying in a place that either is comfortable or you can like manage it, knowing that the bike's fast. You know, like because I don't think I could ride. What you're describing is not how I want to feel in a corner necessarily. Like it's much different than how I would ride, which always goes back to the like all these race bikes are fast, right? But if you hopped on Loic's bike, if he's been developing the bike going right, just like in an obscure direction, you might get on it and be like, I need to go left for what you want. It doesn't mean the bike is like worse or bad. It's just so different depending on the rider.
I think that Jack Racing maybe needs to like plug his ears, but when we talk about this, but you know, it's you know, we act like, oh, downhill is the Formula One of mountain biking. It's like I've hopped on some of these dudes' bikes. I've bounced on Finn's bike. Finn's bounced on my bike, and we literally laugh because we're like, there is no way that I could ride this down the hill, and that works for him because I get on that thing and I'm like, dude, there's no way. Like and you just sit on it, you know, and the reality is our stuff, our valving and the way our bike works rides so much different on the mountain than it does in a parking lot.
Yeah.
It's like, and I haven't been on their computer system or this or that and all these like fancy things, like, but just like a practice bike. And, you know, we've sat on each other's bikes. They've sat on mine. And it's like, I know that they can't feel what my bike does when it comes down the hill. And honestly, if he's the better man, then he's the better man. But we have a laugh, dude, because my bike's such a chopper. They'll just like sit on it and throw the horns up. And they're like, hell yeah, brother. Harley Davidson, brother. We just have a laugh, dude. It's what I need is so far from what some dudes need, you know. And actually, like, you look at my setup and it looks so choppered out. Harry Malloy's bars are just as high as mine, just he's on a GT with a big head tube and you can't tell.
That's a head tube. It's great. I love it. Can we talk about other stuff?
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, originally the plan was just to chat about some like off-season things. Now that most of the team news has come to public news, public knowledge. But after I made this list yesterday, somebody leaked, or not leaked, but like found the UCI list, and then I couldn't actually get access to it online. Could you?
I was looking for it. I just took a look at it or looked for it, but I couldn't find it really. So
yeah. I feel like whoever found it in our forums, they screenshotted it and then almost feels like it went away. But two things with that is it showed Greg Williamson to Mondraker as well as Veronica Widman. And did you know this, Dak?
I knew about Greg. This is the first time I'm learning that these things have actually happened. Like I talked about Greg. We talked about Greg a little bit, but I didn't know anything about Vero, and I still don't. Like whether that's. I mean, I'm assuming you found this. It's true, so I don't really know. But it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Off that, are you gonna have Harry Malloy as your high bar test pilot? Come on.
Hard to say. Hard to say not to know, brother.
Veronica Widman's there.
I don't know. I really don't. I know nothing about this.
Wait, do you so I'm assuming Greg is an addition to the team, not a fill-in for you while you're hurt. Or do you not know?
I genuinely have no idea. They talked about him potentially being a fill-in. But I don't know what the like official plan is of the team.
It's okay. You don't have to be
No,
Don't feel so
I
uncomfortable.
I really don't. Got nothing for you, brother.
Either way, I'm
News to
stoked
me.
for Greg because he was one of those last names in a bit of a limbo. So to see him land somewhere is cool, even if it is temporary or maybe like for the season, however you want to look at it. Other big one is Cami Blanche to Yeti, which I fully thought she was going to pivot.
Really?
I was just, yeah, like she posted the video where it's like a head-on shot and then it cuts and it's her riding away. And I watched it a handful of times and I'm like, that's the pivot for sure. And it had a 2 Chainz song. She was trolling hard. I fully took the bait.
I feel like that one was known for a while. At least
it was like known,
inner.
but not like, at least on the outward, like not super known, I guess. I don't know. And going to pivot would have made a certain level of sense for sure. But Yeti, that's crazy. Like, I guess my question now is Richie full downhill guy next year? Has he put that out? I
don't
haven't
think he's like
seen
fully
anything
put
official.
anything out, but I know he's talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I seen he was riding in Canada on a
Yeah.
bike, so it'd be cool.
That would be sweet. I would be super hyped on that. I mean, him plus Cammy plus Tyler Wade.
And there's another person that was on that list of Yeti, another junior.
Junior male?
I'm going to go to the forum real quick. Someone posted
always go to the forums. Yeah, it was. Where'd Luke Wayman land? He's another name. I forget where he ended up. Anyways.
And this
Remy Myersmith is who is officially going to pivot. So that's cool.
Yep.
Old Rem dog. The Myersmith brothers are separated at last, unfortunately.
We were talking about that last podcast, how different they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Remy's just like a semi-pro surfer, it appears. He's like as Australian as it gets. And then wait, what's his brother's name? Luke?
Yeah.
He's like full serious guy, training all the time.
John T. Williams was the other Yeti person that someone mentioned in the forum. Yeah, B. Goldstone, who's been known to have some good insights. So
is he a junior?
Yeah.
Okay. Sick. It's pretty big news, dude. I mean, Yeti just kind of like made this insane downhill bike straight to carbon, open the molds for Richie, and then I mean, he's done pretty well on it. That Tyler kid looks like he's hauling ass, and Cammy is, I mean, one of the top 3 fastest women currently in our sport, and for her to, in my mind, Yeti's always still that kind of like smaller brand.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's just the image they've been able to continue to hold, but it's pretty sick. Like they've got to have a presence at World Cups, like a pit, all of that. So my guess is Richie's going to be at most, if not all of them, especially with EDR kind of just fizzling a little bit. So
yeah, and they've got Mick as like a, I guess we're just like uncovering more test pilot type people, but
actually that's probably the closest we have right there.
Yeah, Mick and Kirk are like but
they're both on the roster still, so it's anyways,
pretty sick.
And that Ryan Gilchrist kid is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't know if he races downhill a ton or if that's his focus as much. I'm sure he's fast at it, but like it was really weird to me that he actually did EDR last year
and Crankworks.
And Crankworks stuff. But regardless, I mean, Yeti has a very fast team. We've talked about it before. They only take certain people. You have to fit their bikes. All this talk about bike development. They're like, this is actually what we have. And now you have they're Kawasaki, you know. They're like, here's our bike we developed. It is great. Go fast on it. We have no more stem spacers.
You know, I will say they still need to get Warren a downhill bike, a proper one.
That would be sick.
Warren.
They
just need to put him on the roster.
Yeah.
War Dog's still freaking riding for Yeti?
Yeah, dude.
That's sick.
Yeah, we were shooting last weekend. He was on his dirt jumper. Oh, dude, their dirt jumper is so sick.
It's carbon, right?
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
He's got the 007 model. So
I seen him post some clip. I thought it was just cell film from an iPhone. Maybe it was you hiding in the bushes of him just doing a little truck driver or something over the last jump.
That.
And I was just like, just do this more.
He's asleep.
But more.
Sleeper.
Dude. Yeah, he is so sick. Like, yeah, we were just at those cliff dare jumps and he actually hit one of them backwards. But he was like doing like the sickest Euro tables or like half man, like 1 foot, 1 hand, and like just
that's pretty dope.
Just
your favorite rider.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Come on, Yeti. Get him back into the fold. There's your test rider.
I don't know if he'd be a good test rider.
He might not have a lot of feedback, but dude, he'll run some shit into the wall and go really fast. Pretty sure Warren could probably ride like stuff locked out and go just as fast as everybody else.
Pretty sure
his preferences are minimal.
There's a lot of people Google searching who's Warren right now.
Yeah, Warren Canis.
Whenever we do podcasts with him, that'll be the name of it. Who is Warren Ness?
Yeah.
So that we can capture all those searches.
Also, ripping on a dirt bike with a license plate on it. Dude. And working construction during the day, running heavy machinery, ripping on dual sports, and riding.
Just graduated from college too.
Oh, he finally did it. Look at that guy.
Did
it. That's what I'm talking about. You love to see it. You know, speaking of working construction, I think that's Connor Fearon's plan. He's just
a little sparky.
Yeah, I saw something in the comments. Some Australians say, yeah, he's just a sparky now. And I'm like, electrician? Okay. I love it. Yeah, he's just twisting wires, you know, going fast. The UCI thing said Dunbar Racing Team.
Yeah, is that Dunbar Cycles? Like
is that Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Dean Tennant.
Yeah.
Remember that dude?
I remember the name. I'm not Canadian. I never really knew what it was.
Yeah.
So whatever that means.
Like a bike shop.
Yeah. Bike shop sponsors are in. Sam Hill's doing it. So.
Yeah. Dude, okay. For anyone that follows surfing, Connor Fearon is like the Creed McTaggart of biking.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, dude, Creed is like one of the sickest Australian free surfers.
I mean,
he used to be a tour guy, but his
name's Creed.
Yeah, he's so sick. That's basically who Connor Fearon is. Like, just the sickest dude, but he like never fully capitalized on his career, I don't think. Like by riding for Kona and like smaller, like just sticking with what he liked.
You know, that was actually a thought I had at some point yesterday was like, we got Connor and we got Brooke, who are both names that are really sick on bikes, but they're not really finding homes for this year, right? And there's a lot of people that are like, it's messed up. They should be on a factory team. They should be getting support. But like, I love those dudes. Like, I'm a huge fan of them. But is that not just sort of like how things do work? Like, they've had long careers, and I understand that things happen where like are out of your control, where you can have bad seasons and things add up and it can be unfortunate. But like, I don't know, they've been in the fold for a minute and like they can still do cool stuff. Those are like the perfect dudes to just go do hardline events and do Crankworks events. And they don't even need to win. Like, if they're there, everybody's hyped to watch them ride a bike. And like, that seems like the best thing ever to me. I'm sure it's in their position. They're like, it would be cool to get more money though. But yeah.
I don't even know if like Connor's too worried about like the money.
He's a Sparky.
Like, dude, yeah, he's like fully entered another career.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for a while too. Like, he's been electric.
That's what I was going to say.
For years.
Yeah.
I think that like, I want to see Connor hit corners. I want Connor to film. I want another in the know edit. I just want to watch Connor be Connor. And every time I see him at the races, I'm so stoked to see him and talk to him. I'm more excited to talk to him than he is me, for sure. 10 out of 10. Like, he does not care about me whatsoever. But he's like, every time he's a nice guy and says hello and asks how I am. And, you know, like, I'm a Connor Fearon fan from like my early days riding, just because he hit corners like I've never seen many people do. So it's like, and that's like when I talk to him now, he's like, yeah, pretty much, you know, like the racing isn't racing downhill isn't what he likes to do. And he's like, like this is cool, but this isn't, it doesn't seem like it's like the kind of riding that makes him the happiest. So it's like at some point in time, we see all these guys just want to go in the direction of survival of the happiest, right? Like do the kind of riding. Maybe they're not stoked to risk their life racing World Cups on a highway, but they just want to ride and shred. And that's what we want to see them do, right? Do the things they want to do.
They're Southern Hemisphere dudes as well. Like the travel's intense for racers coming out of there, like, and I remember following Connor since like I was 12, he was 13, and he was like so good then. I mean, dude's been in the fold for a long time. I could see him being like, kind of did the damn thing like a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back it off a little bit.
I'm just gonna say, like, we talk about like this whole like him racing stuff. He did 2 World Cups last year. Got 22nd at the first round, Fort William, right? On flat pedals, the only person to make a final on flat pedals since it's been top 30. 22nd.
I bet he had shorts in his bag too, just in case.
Yeah, and then he raced Mont Saint Anne as well and got 38th in semifinals. So like, if he wanted to, he could still, I feel like, be a finals guy.
Yeah.
But then he also won the Crankworks downhill in Cairns and was like 17th at Canadian Open on like debatably the gnarliest track of all time.
Definitely the gnarliest track of all time. I
just saw the
GoPro clip you posted, Dak, and I was like a couple seconds in, and I'm like, where the heck is this track? This looks intense. And I'm like, oh my God, this is $11.99.
And it's gnarly. It was powder, and there was just roots everywhere underneath that you couldn't see. You'd just be like hitting something and you didn't even see it coming. Like, oh my God.
And imagine riding that on flat pedals.
No.
Makes my ankles hurt.
No part of me. No, thank you. Stop.
So
Let me off this ride.
Whoever is in the point of they can make decisions and spend money at a bike company, please pay him to just make some videos and go to the occasional race.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd love to see him end up somewhere or in a position kind of like Brandog has, where he just puts out the stuff we always wanted them to, and then everyone's happy, Perfect. Mike issues, Dak?
Just watch Creed McTaggart surfing videos, and
I will. I'll go search it.
Yeah.
Lori Greenland was in shorts at the Magaza Fest. Just wanted to point that out because I mentioned shorts a minute ago. All right. Let's keep this going because I didn't want to make this one run too long. Mostly because I'm really busy this week and don't have to edit this a ton. Okay, question 1 of 3 was just what was the biggest team changes off season going into 25? I've got a few notes there about there's a lot of like, I mean, if we just breeze through some, it's like Benoit leaves Commensal for Scott. Reese Wilson starts his own team. Loris goes from Trek to Commensal. Danny Hart to Norco. Eris to Norco. FMD to Orbea. Like there's actually a lot of movement this offseason. If I'm going to pick one that I like the most, I would say it's Trek cleaning house and kind of starting fresh. I just like, not that I wanted, I mean, most of those riders that left ended up somewhere sweet, but it's just cool to have a major brand with like a lot of young names like Lockie, Ellis Fegby, Ollie Davis, Chris Hauser, Matt Walker, maybe the more experienced racer on that team. But some like even like Matt, dude, he's been like Madison Saracen forever. So you go look at his Instagram and you see him on a Trek. I'm like, who is this guy? I don't even recognize him. So like that's going to be really neat. And they fill out. I think they have. Oh, they don't have a junior men, but they pretty much have every category. And so I'm down with especially these major brands that have World Cup teams kind of going that route. I think it's cool. What do you guys think? What stands out?
I want to say either, like for me, it's probably restarting his own team just in the environment of everyone doom and gloom, like just full doom on the World Cup racing. I think restarting his own team kind of it brings a new life to the whole scene of World Cup racing and like what you can actually accomplish as a team. Maybe like if he does really well, like if the team succeeds, it'll be like a the whole F1 comparison is it'll show that like you don't need the big bike company behind you to have a big team. Like you can have outside sponsors or find the money elsewhere, and maybe the bike isn't the main thing. Just because every team that we have pretty much is based around a bike company and not so much like a different sponsor outside of the industry or whatever. And this leaves room. Like MS tried to do it for years and they succeeded at times, but I think still they always had MS tied to a bike company name, and this is just Aeon Racing.
Does it stand for something?
Yeah, it's a Scottish thing. It means something in Scottish, like an old saying.
Freaking hot take. It does not roll off the tongue to me. Aeon, I keep spelling it wrong. I keep putting an E in there. I don't know. We love our acronyms though in mountain biking, so at least it's not his name, right? At least it's not RW Racing.
Yeah, I think it means like one or something. I don't know. Chuck told me what it meant because Charlie Harrison and Reese are really good friends. But yeah, I kind of forget.
That's high on my list too, though. They've got a cool roster of riders. They're maybe not like
and sick media behind it. Like Sleeper obviously is fully behind Aeon, so that'll be cool.
Yeah. No, it'll be good. Dak, what do you think? What as a racer, getting to race a lot of these names, who are you interested to see how they go next year on a new team?
I'm interested to see now that Reese has no restrictions what he's able to do, because he was I think quite in a box before. He wasn't able to really explore the limits that he wanted to. So I'm really excited to see that. I think that's going to be a really good program. Loris is going to have something that he's wanted for a long time with like the whole engineering R&D backing behind him. I think that is going to be a really cool thing. Same with Benoit, not especially from like this is his first time like on what you would call like a big team. Like I feel like Dorval was a bit of a family team. Like they were definitely a factory race team, like did really well, had really good riders, but he's going to have the power of Scott behind him and that kind of whole package, that whole environment flow. And they had a good lines guy before, and he had like a real like a bit of a family around it. Right now he's slotting into a different program. I don't know how much he'll take or leave from his previous program into his new program, lines guys, things like that. Trek is going to have a new face, new image. It's going to be probably a lot different than what we've seen in the past. Like, that it was even for me, like a little, I didn't. Pause. Hold on. I'm out.
Is Trek the new Syndicate? Like
I think Syndicate's still got the Syndicate vibe right now.
I don't think it does at all.
What?
I think Syndicate's fully lost their like Syndicate vibe.
I think they still got it with
I'm back.
Jackson and Lori. I don't know the new Grom, Felix Griffith, as much, but like Ellie Holzbosch, I feel like she's somebody that could grow into being a cool personality. I mean, Nina's good too, actually. I take that back. Like, Nina's an interesting one. Maybe from just like straight, like result wise. There was definitely a point when Syndicate just kind of like ran it up. They just won everything, it felt,
Mm-hmm. I just think from like
they got personalities.
If Trek has like a opportunity to like let the personality show and not be so corporate.
Yeah, I never really got the corporate feel from at least how they branded the team necessarily. I don't know. Maybe I look at more of like the vibe of the riders, where like Reese was unique. Loris was kind of like always felt like he rode for his own track team just because he was like pretty locked in on his own thing. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely think Trek has for sure an opportunity to be more syndicate than they ever have been. And like, dude, their bikes, their kits always look good. Like Trek they look sick, and everybody on the team right now is, I mean, really just Lockie and Ollie create a pretty unique vibe. But then like and Hauser just maybe seems mellow, or maybe I just didn't get enough of him from the union to like know him as well. But I think he'll be on a bigger platform for people to like learn who he is as a person. And same with like Matt Walker, maybe a little bit too. Like it's really up to the teams to like put out that content. And I think Matt is like, maybe he's really focused, but I still think he's a pretty entertaining person. Everything, you get to see little snippets of him.
Matt's cool. This went from like the Trek pit that I would never walk into. Don't even look at when you walk by. Like, oh, to like everyone that I've either lived with, hung with, like stayed with at like US Open, Mount St. Anne. Like I was hanging out at their house after dinner, like went to like all my homies are in the Trek tent. So it's like going to be a whole different deal, you know, like
the Trek Union,
TFR Union. and plus Matt.
Yeah.
Matt's a homie. Matt is a really nice guy. And it's his chick works for Steel City Media, so got to know her last year, and she's really cool. And yeah, it's just like a whole different vibe. Maybe I'll actually maybe I'll step inside the rig, see what's going on in there.
Maybe I'll drop by. We'll see.
What up, boys? You know, pull in the driveway as I'm rolling by. Say hello.
I was just looking at a note here because you were talking about Loris, but it's kind of insane to me how he's ridden for all the major teams at this point. Like do you think that's him always chasing the next thing and trying now that I'm here, I'm going to have everything I need. And then that fizzles and he like searches, or was Commensal always where he was meant to be? I mean, it feels like the best fit out of the last couple teams ever since he left Loic and Specialized. This feels the most right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think like Amari has not been the most consistent rider. Like he's like the amazing performances, but always hasn't been consistent throughout the year. And now they have Loris, who has amazing performances, but has been way more consistent. Like he hasn't been like won by 7 seconds, but he's always there. You know, their team is like looking so strong this season too, as like a whole package.
Yeah, it totally is. I was a little surprised maybe that Commensal didn't find a spot for Benoit. I mean, it makes sense that they picked up Loris, and I'm kind of glad Benoit ended up on like his own team in a way. Like he's heading Scott as like their fastest rider. Maybe there's some pressure with that, but hopefully it's like gives him that pedestal he's deserving of. All right, move on to question number 2. Kind of the same as the first one. First one's supposed to be more like, which changes are you most excited to see? This one's who are you most excited to see at the races this year and why? Maybe looking at it from like they're going to go well. I mean, I got Jackson Goldstone down as number 1. Gone last year, but not forgotten. I think he's gonna come right back in and be fast. Like it, not that people have forgotten about him by any means, but I think he's gonna remind everybody who he is again real quick.
Yeah.
Who do you guys got? Dax scrunching his face so hard.
No, I was just thinking like that's going to be tough for Jackson. Like from what I've seen, he didn't race the New Zealand Continental race, which I thought was kind of weird because you would think that he wants to like get back in the swing of things. And like last year, he could have came in at the last 2 races, but obviously didn't want to. So it's like, I wonder if there's a bit of not ego, but a bit of like okay, he wants to come in where he left off. But at the same time, that's like a bit scary, right? Because he was kind of the dude. And we've seen Troy come back from his ankle injury, and it took him a good year to get back as the top guy, and he ended the season as like the dude. But for a minute there, he was in the 20s. He was kind of getting back in the swing of things. And Troy, I mean, he's been doing it for so long that there's not a lot of ego attached to that, where Jackson came in as ripped as a junior, came in as an elite, crushed it. And now those are big shoes to step back into. I mean, speaking from my own experience, I haven't missed an entire year, but I'm sitting here broken in a chair right now going, oh man, like I left feeling like I was invincible, and that's going to be really hard. That feeling is going to be really hard to get back to, and feeling like I didn't really get to show the speed that I felt like I had at times, where I had issues or things that didn't go my way. It was real rainy last season. Like there was days where I felt like there was no limit to how fast I could have rode. And I'm sure that that's going to be pretty hard on him. And I wonder why, I'm assuming he's going to maybe race Tasmania. So it's like, is now the first race he's coming back into is going to be Hardline Tasmania, where he got hurt. That seems like maybe that's a hurdle that he wants to overcome, and he's just waiting to overcome that hurdle and start fresh like it never happened. But I was pretty interested to see that he didn't race he was in Queenstown. I thought, maybe I'm wrong, and didn't race the New Zealand National there that Ronan won and Lockie was second at, I believe. So for me, I would want to get as much racing under my belt before the World Cup as possible. But with that being said, I'm really excited to see what he does this season, because the dude is incredibly talented.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if he almost gives me the impression that he left like the last season he did. He was so fast. I think he won the most World Cups. And instead of being like, oh my God, I got to like fill that expectation that I already set, to me, I feel like he looks at it as, oh, I can go out and beat all these dudes. I can just go do it again. Like he doesn't really give me the impression of like he questions things too much. Maybe it's just like that young, and I agree, like it's not ego, it's just like rightfully so confidence. Like he has a lot of proof in the pudding that he can do it. So it's like
he's sick.
Yeah, like it is interesting he didn't race, but I would be really surprised if he does do the Hardline Tasmania as his first comeback. That would be freaking pretty hard. Just your first race back is where you broke yourself off at like, I think not just like a racetrack either. It's like
a lot of risk, not a whole lot of reward on that.
I mean, yeah, not at this point. Not when you've already lost the whole season. He's in the red pretty hard when it comes to that. So I don't know. I almost get the feeling he's just down New Zealand just to be there and ride with everybody else. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up and does a little bit of practice at Tasmania and then is like, cool, that's it, I'm gonna commentate or something. Yeah.
It's just interesting for me sitting here, like knowing that dude took him a year to get back to form and learn how to walk. You essentially not learning how to walk again, but it's like right now I'm afraid to put my foot down in the pool at 5 foot. So like it's 10%, technically that's 10% body weight. It's still within toe touch weight bearing. And I'm not walking in the pool at 5 foot because I'm honestly no reason, but that it's somewhat scary. Right. So not that, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to teach your brain that you're not fragile, and that confidence that it takes to get that back takes a long time to transfer into racing.
But he's got to be, if he could have raced the last 2 World Cups end of September, October, I mean, he's at least 5-6 months into being like back able to ride a bike. Yeah. Like, and I'm not discounting what you're saying, but I feel like he's going to roll up and still be in the mix. Maybe he does like an Amory and takes a round or 2 to kind of get back into the flow. Like he did this past season. It's going to be cool nonetheless. I can't wait. I really just can't wait for Asa to also be in elites, because they're like similar in a lot of ways. And then to watch them, if only this was like, we could get them both on track somehow dueling. It'd be so freaking cool. But yeah, I'm just a full fanboy for anybody that's up and coming and fast. That's just kind of my MO.
I think it's going to be sick seeing Lockie with full support.
Yep.
I think him and Ollie, seeing them ride together will be sick. And then Reese, like I said, on a new program, like Dak said, is like having no constraints or anything holding him back except for like himself. And so he can kind of do whatever he wants, which will be sick. And then, I think, is Rachel Atherton going to race a couple rounds?
I don't think anything's been very confirmed that she is. We'll get into the whole Gates belt drive thing in a minute, but like maybe she tries to show up for that.
I'm stoked. I mean, we haven't gotten confirmation, but to see Richie Rude at downhill races, like,
totally.
I'm insanely pumped for that because like he has been riding with the trail bike style, but I think once he gets more time on a downhill bike, it'll be so sick.
Totally.
We were with him at the last race of the year last year with it was like we were doing track walk and it was like Crispy at US Open. It was Crispy, me, Aaron, Richie, like the homies crew, and then track walking with Richie and Aaron at Mount St. Anne, like after semifinals and stuff. It was like sick having like the American dream team rolling together. It was really cool. Like having Richie's quiet, but he's like really funny. So it's so nice to have him at the races. And I think once we see him like really learn the limits of what a downhill bike can do and his like head shift from like, okay, keep the bike together enduro mentality to like, okay, now it's time to thrash. I think it's going to be lethal when he gets terrific. Yeah, when he goes into Richie smash mode.
Just the fact that he's riding a downhill bike this offseason puts him further ahead than he came into last year. So, dude, and with that, you have Casper Woolley leaving YT Enduro for YT Downhill team. Is it Hattie Harnden? She's on Aeon Racing. Another one. She's 2024 EDR overall champ when she was a Trek.
And now she's full podium downhill.
Does she?
Pretty sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But like it's cool to see some enduro names like that making the move to downhill. And I'm sure like they've all raced downhill over the years, but to like pick that as a thing for 24 will be really cool. Other names I am stoked to see would be Eris van Leuven in elites. I mean, she was like the fastest junior the past 2 years, and she's on Norco now. She's on a proper team. I think that she could really be a threat. And then same with going just to junior women's, Heather Wilson, Ellis Fegby. I think those are going to be like two of the main names this year, especially Ella. Like she's on Trek Factory now. Came out of nowhere last year, just rolled up and casually got like a bunch of podiums at World Cups. And like we were talking with Trek and maybe a new face, new era for them. It'll be nice to get to know her more because I think she's real quiet, but it seems like she's just calculated in the way she talks and stuff. So it'll be cool to see her progress through the year, do a full season, have all the support. Hopefully it doesn't feel like it's so hard to get on a factory team and not feel the pressure of expectations instead of looking at it as just all opportunity and helping you achieve what you want. So hopefully that it does go well for her. Troy Brosnan. There's another name that dude's a sleeper. Like fairy tale ending to the year, comes back, wins Mont Saint Anne after missing around, having a kid. And then, I mean, he finished second in the overall last year. And like, he's on the same team next year, keep developing that new canyon. I feel like he could do the Troy thing, just be consistent, Mr. Podium, hopefully get a couple more wins. I was loving the vlogs from him, and it's Aaron that's doing it, right? That was doing the specialized videos for a long time, I'm pretty sure. Is that who it is? Dak, you should know. Who films Troy's vlogs?
I don't know.
You're over there all the time hanging out with or talking to Luca.
I was with Luca when Troy wasn't there. I don't really know Troy.
Well, you don't need to know Troy. You were in his videos every now and again. So wasn't it? Oh my God.
Not that I know of.
Oh my God.
I probably said like 10 words to the dude in my life, other than the fact that I tried to burn their truck down with a kettle last year. So I was like, I was hanging out with, when he was gone, I was hanging out with Luca all the time. And then we weren't pitted next to each other at all when the races came back. So
Aaron Bartlett,
Aaron Bartlett.
Mm-hmm. Probably
Oh, I
botching your
know
name,
that
Aaron.
dude.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that guy.
Yes,
Yep,
you
I
do
know
know
who he
him.
is. Yep.
Anyways.
Yeah, I wonder how many more seasons Troy's got in him. I mean, he's been at it for a crazy long time.
I think he's gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, he's got like a kid back home now, but I think that he's so immune to the Southern Hemisphere life of you just spend half your year in Europe and you just commit to it, and maybe who knows,
Dude,
maybe
he's
he owns a
coming up
house
on
somewhere.
half his life of
Pretty sick.
doing like the whole thing.
The whole shebang.
Yeah.
He's the next Greg Menard. Someone's got to do it. Aaron's out, so it's like we need the dude who's just gonna stick to it to the long haul. How old's Troy? Like 32?
He'll be 32. This year he'll be 32.
Dak, how old are you?
I'm still fresh in the game. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good for another 5.
Dak doesn't even have 10 years in the game.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm fresh.
It's
I'm
the
ready to
overall
go.
game. He doesn't have
I'm
10
gonna be
years.
hitting my stride
Dak's coming up on his 10 years of
38.
downhill racing this year.
at 38. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Troy's been racing downhill since he was like 13 years old.
Dude, I'm pretty sure it's 17 or 18 he had an elite podium, which is nuts.
Crazy.
Also, Harriet Harnden podiumed at MSA in 23. That's where it was.
Yeah. T-Steps hot take.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Roots and Rain.
Yeah, I knew she had a podium. I just didn't know when it was.
Shit, what was I just gonna say? Oh, I feel like Moto this year, they've been chatting a lot about how like new young riders coming up and like all like the old guard, but like all the old racers in Supercross are like 30, 29, 31. Yeah. But in downhill, it's rad that like people are racing well into their mid 30s being competitive. Well, not that there's not like new young riders constantly coming up, but like just I don't know, maybe Supercross, that was one of the bullet points for them this season as like a headline to like really hammer home for some reason. But it's cool that there's longevity in the sport a little bit,
I think there's longevity in moto too. It's like when you look at Alden Baker's boot camp, and then all the dudes show up to the races and they've all done this like boot camp, right? That they talk about is so hard and they're riding and training, and then they all get sick at the first round. And it's like half the dudes are sick now. And granted, they shake a lot of hands to fanfare. They see a lot of people. And that makes it super hard. Like shaking hands with a lot of people at the race, man, you're really open to getting sick. But the reality is like also they've all trained in Florida and now have flown to California where we talked about the weather, the change in temperature. Like the temperature is similar, but it feels really cold. The change in humidity, and then they're shaking all these people's hands, and they've just like put themselves through the hardest training of the year, and then they fly back to Florida, train all week, and fly back to the race. So I think it's pretty interesting to see like what we say is like old in moto, and they just race so much more than we do. 17 rounds of Supercross, 2 weeks off, and then straight to motocross. And during that 2 weeks off, they're motocross testing, and then they get 2 weeks off before Supercross or whatever. Now there's SMX, and it's like there's
a good point.
That like push of like we think we race a lot, but then we change. We have bigger travel than they do. They can jump on a plane and they're there in 4 hours, So it's one night. We're a whole week affair. So it's been pretty interesting to like look at, the age range, what is required of them. And also like how hard those guys have to push, right? I think that there is a lot more longevity in our sport because of the amount of races we do. We only race for like a few months a year.
Yeah. No, totally agree. Oh, and I think what I was realizing when they were chatting so much about the age thing in moto is that all the names they're talking about that are getting older, none of them are like, this is my last year. Like we're going to see some of those names through the next 3 to 5 seasons. So it's like, and then once we get to that point, there's going to be a whole new headline of like, look how old everybody is. And they're still like, it's just a new generation. People are racing longer.
Yeah. Which, I mean, on that note, Greg Menard, like, is not full out on racing. He's like talked about, oh, maybe I'll pop in for a round or two.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
He's definitely out of it like more than he ever has been, but he's still like a foot and a half in, you know, like he's so a part of Norco, which is epic. Like I love Aaron, don't get me wrong. Aaron is busy with a bunch of different things, but like, and it was cool to see him commentating this year, but like, we don't know where the hell Aaron's doing next year, how much we're going to see from him if you're just following World Cups. So sick that Greg, we will like get Minar every round in videos and content and all of that. So hyped for that. Okay.
I think Aaron's about to start chizzing. He ain't leaving. In case y'all didn't know, he ain't gone.
Yeah.
I know AG ain't gone.
I seen his schedule for next year. He ain't gone. He ain't done. He ain't done.
Hold up how many fingers of races he's doing.
A lot. Maybe not every World Cup, but he's there's plenty of races on the calendar. And I think he's doing it on his terms. He's doing what he wants to do. And
he always has.
Dude, yeah. Dude, he ain't done. Don't worry. I've been chatting with our boy. He's doing intervals already. Better watch out.
Intervals this early in the season?
Yeah, this is early for him, dude. He's training early, dude.
Intervals are like a month out sort of thing.
He's
like,
been riding downhill, dude. Our boy is.
That means, well, I guess he's got the national coming up, and then he's got Rock Creek.
It's true.
And then
usually he would just like month before the World Cup starting to lean into it. Now what month is it? We got time, dude.
I mean, I've seen he's been in the gym.
He's getting nuts.
Yeah, he's got that nice gym set up.
Dude, it does look nice. I can't.
Yeah.
Looks a little better than looks a little better than my ghetto set up in the corner of my living room.
We never really ran through updates on you. I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks since we podcasted, but like
nobody cares.
They don't even tell him that he's got new teammates.
That was.
Or are you not asking?
Are you still talking to everyone on the team?
I mean, we don't really talk to each other. I don't speak Spanish.
What better time to learn a new language?
I'm kidding. I have been working on my Espanol.
Oh.
A little Duolingo action or what?
Jiggy. Yeah, dual. Yeah, I just said. Here's how much Duolingo I've been doing. It said our bags are packed. We guess you're not coming. You're not coming, or something like that. On the Duolingo, I haven't opened it in a few days. I go through spurts. To say consistency is key.
Yeah,
I've lost the key.
He's consistently not consistent.
Yeah.
So you're still no weight bearing. You still don't quite know when you will bear weight.
I will bear weight on the 9th of March.
That's what it was before, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
He said not a day before, which is crazy to me. Like it sounds pretty wild that on day we can publicly state this. On day 89, you can't walk, but on day 90, tear it up.
Yeah.
This is like so whack, honestly.
That's like
silly. It's
my
silly.
My dad, when he turned 60, had a bunch of things like that where like all of a sudden he'd go to the doctor to like do all these tests for different things you do. And he was like, yeah, but the day before you guys didn't give a shit. And now I got to do all this stuff, you know, it's like just because of that one day. But yeah, it's funny how that stuff works.
It's so goofy, dude. So yeah, just trying to get an idea of what I can do and what I can't do is really difficult because now I'm in Red Tapesville. It's honestly annoying at this point. Like I'm like just genuinely annoyed.
Have you tried laying in a dark room all day and just imagining your body healing?
That's not how this works.
I heard that shit can work.
Yeah.
I've been laying under the bench press staring at the bar thinking about the fact that I could get up and walk again, but it ain't changed.
You know what I say? If you like when you're working out and stuff, if you really focus on the muscles firing that like you're working out, you'll get a better
pump.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I'm focused on is my dog not hitting me coming across the living room at this point.
We gotta get you some bumpers for your roller. Like when you go bowling, you know, get you a little halo on the ground around you.
It's
or an electric chair.
Yeah. Yesterday I was just sitting down in the chair and just fully had a crash into the chair. And I'm like, dude, like my butt was like 6 inches off the chair, and I don't know what happened. Something happened between me sitting down and actually sitting, and next thing you know, I was halfway in a pile, and then I'm like, oh my God, am I alive? Am I okay? Does it hurt? It's like
fragile.
I just
man
have
right
to
now.
understand that I'm not as fragile as I think I am.
Yeah.
The reality is they wouldn't I'm screwed together and I'm healing. I can't be that fragile. It's got to have some bone remodeling. So it is what it is, We'll see. We'll see.
Well, look forward to the next update.
Thanks. As you can see, this one's ideal.
This one's minor. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's January. The year starts slow. Don't rush anything.
It's almost February. I got one more month, dude. As far as I'm 2 days into week 7, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm almost week 8.
I love that. Okay. Last note for discussion. We got Atherton, Intense, MS Zeroid, and then Aeon with Gamix chasing that Gates belt drive 100K. So here's thoughts on that. Like thoughts on belt drive plus really just gearbox, like gearbox bikes. I'm a fan. I think it's cool. It's cool there's someone with money helping make it happen. Like,
yeah.
It's maybe if we really go back to like the Honda bike, which was like the thing talked about through our entire life of downhill bike racing development. Yeah. If anyone's got one, DMS. But
that one that was rolling around Idaho about 10 years ago.
Where is it now?
Yeah.
Bottom of a creek.
Stolen one.
But like so much of the draw to that had a gearbox. And then we just like shelved that whole thing for so many years. So I think it's cool. It'll be interesting if somebody actually wins.
Yeah, I know the Zeroed boys were having quite a bit of issues with their bikes last year.
Were they?
Yeah, as soon as they got a little bit of dirt in there. So I'm
in the belt or the
belts coming off and that kind of stuff. Taylor Vernon and Sam Blankensop. So they were having quite a bit of issues with belts coming off.
Those things
are throwing the belt, they call it, in drag racing there.
Those things are like fairly locked on there, at least on the wheels themselves, because they're like grooved and notched and everything. But you had some mud and some compressions, and it makes me think a chain is pretty grooved and notched too, and those things come off as well. So that is a good point. I don't know. It'll be interesting. The gearbox is cool. I mean, riding an e-bike, as we all have done, you feel how planted, stable, glued to the ground, all of those good things. And a downhill bike's probably the overlap we would all want to have those feelings. And so if you get at least that vibe going, plus just simplicity and everything. I mean, Pinion's got the electronic one now as well, which is cool because I think I probably should have looked into it more, but you get rid of the grip shift, I'm pretty sure. So you just got a normal shifter now. And the grip shift was a little whack. So
I rode a G2, I think it was the original, or G1 and a G2 of the Zeroed. Mikey Hatter had them, and I rode one of his one time, and it was just like the gearing was not catered towards downhill.
Oh, like it was too easy?
Huge gaps in the gears. Like the cluster wasn't tight. Like it was like you'd go from like a super easy gear and then it'd be a huge gap and it'd be like too hard, or like you'd go from a hard gear to super, like way too easy. Like you just downshifted twice.
But this is where I have a statement as well, is it's like I start in one gear, I shift out of the gate, and then usually I shift again. Like, couldn't you just have like a 4-speed?
I'm sure they do. There's no way you can just re-gear those things.
I mean, it's all, can't
be that hard, like
it's all witchcraft in reality.
We don't actually know what's in there, sand, but
I think cool.
The big thing, the big thing is getting the derailleur and cassette off of the sprung, or like your sprung weight, right? It's like moving it to the frame.
Yeah. Totally.
So
Yeah.
like, I think
getting
that's like the big thing. But like, could you just design it where you move your derailleur and cassette into the front?
or just freaking.
Was that the rumor that Honda did that back in the day? Like that was
Mhm.
their gearbox. It was
Yeah.
just a derailleur and cassette in the front.
I'm pretty sure there's a photo out there somewhere that I haven't looked at in a while of it pulled off, and it definitely looked almost sort of like that, like the cover pulled off of it. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, why doesn't new Saint just be 3 or 4 speed, and make everything light and tight and compact, make it look like almost just a chain tensioner, but it throws the gear here or there.
It could be. We just won't find out for 10 more years.
We literally won't. I mean, everything, right? Shimano is probably the bad example. They big ships turn slow, but like SRAM, maybe, yeah. Anyways, Dak's like, I don't want 12 speed. Stop it. Yeah, I don't know. Our forums are blowing up over it. People are all about it, but I'm still kind of the mindset that like innovation's rad. It's all cool. I'm super down for it. Let's not freak out because you literally can only buy like 1 or 2 bikes right now that come with them. So
yeah,
it's
I think
more novelty than anything at the moment.
It's one of those things that wasn't a big deal. It's like, it's not a big deal unless you make it a big deal, and they've made it a big deal. So but like in reality, it's like, well, what is pumping $100,000 into one person's pocket gonna do? Like,
what it's doing is making all these brands
apparently apparently everyone is like really sees a penny and stops traffic and to pick it up. Like,
I mean,
that's what's going on. Is there's a dollar bill on the freeway.
Gates is helping develop all these bikes, which is cool. So they're, they have obviously skin in the game. There's motive to help these brands do it. But if that's like, if there truly are benefits of running a gearbox and a belt drive and all those things, it's sick that somebody's putting all the energy into it, because a manufacturer isn't going to do it. SRAM and Shimano definitely ain't doing it, not anytime soon. So, I think it's cool. I'd love to ride one and see what it feels like. I skimmed through that Atherton video of them, Charlie riding their new bike, and looks pretty mean. Looks pretty cool.
I mean, we said it last year about the Gamix. I just want to ride one of those things.
Yeah, it's like weighs as much as a pit bike, but I'll ride one.
I don't think weight's a bad thing. I'm shoving weight.
Well,
but
weight, yeah, to a degree.
Weight's sweet in the right places. But that's what really interesting is. It's like last year you're sitting there and you see the gearbox belt drive bikes. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that makes a lot of sense. And then it's like you see like all the hype with it this year, and it's because obviously, I mean, Gates is sponsoring, there's changes, whatever, cool. And it's like, actually, let's just get that thing off there and let's move it up there because we're putting weight there anyway. So why don't we just move all this stuff there? It's like pretty cool. It's like, yeah, you guys, it makes a lot of sense. Cool.
When you really think about it.
Well, now that we're really thinking about it, that's pretty smart.
When you put it that way. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of like breaking components and stuff like that, because like I'll probably go out and break my derailleur today, but I've been running the same GX Axis derailleur on my trail bike for 2 years now.
Yeah, they sure do last a heck of a lot longer than they once did.
And it doesn't even it's not even a transmission or anything direct mounted, nothing like that. Like
nothing like that.
Make it smaller, make it better.
You're talking about you don't shift that much. Do you still run whatever Shimano is? 7 speed? 10 speed?
10?
10? You run all 10 of them?
7. I run 7.
Okay.
But it's like at the same time, it's like it is a derailleur. Like if I had like go to the starting gate gear, a start gear, 1 gear, and then like a all out sprint gear, like I would probably be happy with that. Like,
yeah,
like a custom, but then
9,
again,
12.
it might not shift nicely between a 9 and a 12, you know?
Yeah.
So like this is above my pay grade. I'm not an engineer here. I don't know why these things are made the way they are. I just jam that thing when I need to go. But,
yeah, I wonder what it would be, like a 10, 12, 16, 20 or something.
yeah. Well, I mean, Kevin Aiello was running the 3-speed back in the day, the 2-speed or whatever.
He even went single speed.
He even went single speed. I mean, you don't need to shift electronics.
The more you think about it, the less you need.
Yeah. I mean, they went just to a single speed at one point in time, which is pretty cool. But I mean, I don't see myself pulling up to Val di Sole with a single speed at this point in time and being competitive. But I mean,
not with that attitude.
Not with that attitude.
Not with that hip.
Hey, I was in the gym today and I'm working out. And I'm like, man, you really got to rethink about blowing your leg out when you only got one of them.
Yeah, you get too sore, you're not gonna be able to gimp around.
Not gonna be able to stand up. I already got I started back. I was training pretty hard and I blasted my chest and triceps. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I was like trying to get to the car and I'm like, oh dude, my arms are noodles. This is kind of hard to move around. I literally
like hang out on the crutches for a second.
Dude, I woke up the next day and I literally could not move. Like I could not get I was so sore I couldn't even lift myself into my truck. I was like, this is bad. What have I done?
Wait, are you driving your new truck now?
I'm driving my truck, yeah.
I feel like last time we did this, you hadn't even got in the new truck.
I'm in the truck.
All right.
Man, you're gonna be looking like Larry Lobster from SpongeBob after you come back. Your legs gonna be all tiny.
Too much spinach.
You know what? I've been training very hard and I've seen no difference. So you got nothing to worry about. I'm like, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to come back. And
Is that not working out in a nutshell?
Yeah. I mean, the thing people I laugh at is people say, I don't want to get too bulky. I'm like, listen, I've been doing this for 10 years and getting too bulky ain't a problem I had.
Oh,
dude.
You're not gonna be like Bruce Klein.
Yeah. I don't even know how you get that.
God. Bruce Klein is an impressive transformation.
Hey, what's he look like now?
Just
stacked.
Yeah, two dudes put together. He's huge.
Huge.
With a Y.
Oh man.
Big old American killing.
Yeah, if you want to talk about bulking up, go ask Bruce because whatever he did worked incredibly well.
Don't understand.
Yeah. That's it. That's all.
What else you want to talk about while we're here?
I don't know. That felt pretty good to me.
You're going on a ski trip? What's Tanner been doing? Riding his road bike?
No, I haven't been riding. It sucks. No, I had a few shoots the last like 3 days, so I've kind of been on a bender. Yeah, I drove up to NorCal and then was in Santa Cruz on a shoot with actually Warren, and then got all day Sunday, and then got up the next morning and had to drive up to almost Tahoe and was shooting all day Monday with Cody Kelly and Drew, and then had to leave there at like 5 p.m. I got there, I was up at 5 a.m., left there at 5 p.m., and then drove 8 hours back to San Diego, and then woke up at 6 a.m. for a shoot yesterday that went from 7 to 7 basically. And then, yeah.
That's too much.
When are you flying out to film my comeback video?
When you're walking, maybe. That's all right.
This isn't a part of the story?
Tennessee National that time.
I'm gonna be walking then. What the heck?
You gotta be vlogging.
I know. I need to vlog.
You need to shoot some videos of yourself in the gym. Do you have a little tripod or anything?
I got a little tripod. I got a dad cam. I need to get a camera. I really actually need to get a camera. Like
you've probably got like 1,000 GoPros. Just
I do have GoPros.
Yeah, 360 do that thing.
I tried to actually. I thought maybe I was going to be able to get good at filming stuff while I've been hurt. So I've been trying to just film me making coffee, and literally I cannot figure out how to shoot on my iPhone and not have the base of the tripod in the shot. So it's not going well. Like, I'm not good at this. Like, I've been like really putting in a lot of effort, and I have no coffee and nothing to show about it. Also, while we're talking about coffee, our dreams, Tanner's dreams have not come true, but my dreams have come true.
You know, guys,
the good people at Onyx have come through for me. They have kept me caffeinated through this time.
See, the worst thing about this whole thing is that I'm the one that mentions this on the podcast. Like, I'm like, yo, just hit up Onyx Coffee Labs. Like, and
Dude.
then Dak gets the rewards from this.
I want free coffee.
I'm working on it. Okay, just know I'm working. I just gotta figure out how to film this coffee video first.
I've got a solid. I can take photos. I can shoot video. Come on, guys! Like, you got this. I got a decent following on Instagram.
You're in California. We need to get you out here. You just jump on the plane. You'll be here in 4 hours. I mean, I bet you could be here by 2. Come on,
got a PJ waiting in Carlsbad.
We got no PJs. We're strictly economy class on this job, but actually, this is the thing, because I may fly out there. I may come your way. I'm at the point.
Years in the making.
No, there's people I need to see. Healing doctors. I'm coming to see doctors.
Shock resin.
Eastern
crystals.
medicine.
Yeah, we're out there.
We're going west.
Yeah, we're going west. We're
throwing go west, go east. All right,
yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Eventually.
Yeah.
You got doctors though? The Matson get you connected?
Matson's been helping. Zacho's been helping. Zacho's pushing me pretty hard to go see Doc G. Sick. So maybe try to go out there and see him. He's like, man, you need to go see Doc G. And I'm like, dude, I do not need to be sitting on an airplane is what I don't need to be doing. He's like, no, you need to do this. So hopefully once I'm a little more comfy. I was trying to put together some IKEA cabinets last night with Frida, with like some gear cabinets for our office. And dude, I was sitting there and I was like, this is why I can't get on a plane. I'm wrecked. So maybe coming your way. Hopefully we can get this going.
Tennessee Nationals coming up. And then Rock Creek is right after.
Jason's coming out. Tanner's coming out. It's going to be the great Tennessee.
I am coming to the Tennessee National.
Any companies need photo work, we can combine it, form like Voltron.
Big E.
And
yeah, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
Big E.
Wait, Dak, how close are you to Windrock?
Mile and a half.
Oh.
No, I at most, I think it takes us like 7 minutes to drive there, 10 minutes.
Can I just stay with you if I come up for the National?
Very, very possible. You better get in early because this hotel is going to fill up.
I got a spot too. I'm bringing my sleeping pad and
honestly, you guys are both welcome. Potentially Joe Bowman might be here with Friday Junior West Steel. But those boys may come, and East Friday Junior East. But yeah, the hotel's gonna fill up quick. But I think that we might make space for you guys.
We still got that van, right? If it doesn't sell,
there's a van out front, and there's a camper in the driveway. So we can
buy air mattresses. We got the sleeping is no issue.
Wait,
Rainer, are you actually gonna go?
I'm trying to figure it out.
He's waiting for me to buy his flight.
Exactly. That's all I'm waiting for.
I just need to buy my flight. It's just been on my to-do list for like a week now. But
why don't you buy Tanner's while you're at it? So
I know. I'll see if they got a twofer going on.
Yeah. I was talking to Spomer at the 100% housewarming thing. Like Spomer Daddy, come on.
Like hook it up.
Dog.
Well, if you make it out there, I'm sure we can figure out something. I mean, Dak, you'll be walking by then, right?
Yeah,
you'll probably be out in full force at the race, at least hanging out on some of the days.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go out there. I'm probably gonna be on trackside, hobbling down the track, coaching for Frida. So getting her on track here, helping her make her come back. So I'll be at the National.
You want to
shoot a Vital Raw on my iPhone?
Bottle Rock Crutches edition. You wanna be a celebrity host for like a pit walk at some point?
Yeah, I mean,
Pit crutch.
assuming I can walk.
We'll figure it out.
It might be hobbling.
It's fine.
Wobbling.
It'll be a video where you cover, 3 10x10s. That's as far as you get. But
so probably most of it.
All right. Well, it's on my to-do list literally in the next 48 hours to book a flight. So I'm going to call you because I probably will plan to stay at your house because that would simplify all of my travels. How far is like an airport from your house?
30 minutes.
Is it an expensive Uber?
No.
Okay.
No, it's like 20. I think it's usually when I go, it's $27 or something like that.
Okay. It's not like
the airport. No, it's
not
outrageous.
outrageous.
Not bad at all, and it's not super far. Like if we needed to figure something out, I'm sure we can.
Okay.
I'm sure I can find somebody to go get you. Frida! Yeah. There's room to barter. I mean, I don't have a whole lot going on. Might be room to the bike, but
you're like, I would love to come pick you up. Give me something to do. Give me purpose.
I just wish you guys would come here so like we could actually be great. When I pick you and Tanner up at the airport, we'll go to dinner. I'll show you you guys like to act like we don't have like life ends on my side of the Mississippi. Like we don't have heat or we all live in the woods.
What are you talking about?
Dude, I lived with you for like a little bit in 2019 in Knoxville.
It was sick.
That was sick, yeah.
But pit bikes, we'll be purring. We'll be having a good time.
I'm actually looking forward to it. Maybe I'll try to, if I don't have to factor in accommodations, then I can book my flights a little bit longer, like a day or two, not just be like flying in for the event.
Could just come see me.
I would love to.
Wow. We're stretching the budget. We're stretching the budget. I like it.
I know. Well, the year restarted, so the budget ran out.
Talk about that. You know where I got smoked? I didn't bill anything to my insurance all year. No doctors, no physios, no nothing. And then 2 days before the end of the year, nuked myself. Didn't even hit my deductible for the new year.
Man. And then it resets, and then you got to get your deductible again right at the beginning.
That's tough. Lesson learned. Wait till January.
Real world problems. Oh. Well.
Sick. Well, maybe we can just plan a podcast end of March. Is that when that is?
Yeah, end of March. When we're all sitting here.
Yeah,
we're all together.
I'll call Spomer tomorrow.
Never been done. All of us in the same room.
Have we never?
Never.
No.
Never. We've never podcast. I got 2 mics. I might even order a third one. We can get it.
If we plan to do it, Spomer's going to be there as well. He's actually going for, I think, like a week with like his family.
Oh.
Yeah. His kids are super into fishing. So
there's supposed to be good fishing here.
That's what he told me. Yeah. So that's what they're going to do. He's just going to post up and work and go watch the race. This will be outside of Sea Otter. I think this will be the first ever downhill race I've gone and watched and not raced.
It's a good time. Let me tell you.
Oh man, I don't miss racing basically ever. So to just go and hang out. Oh my God, it sounds incredible. It sounds really, it's like going to a Supercross, just all excitement. And then you just go home at night. Your heart rate's been low. It's nice.
The best part, like we were saying earlier about being like behind the camera, is that when people, you get to be like the person that puts down the camera as like random people you don't know, like come down the track instead of being the person coming down the track and seeing like Sven and Boris and everyone behind a corner. And as soon as you like crest over, like everyone puts their camera down.
Everybody lights a stig. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, cool. And you just like felt real sick but there's nothing to show for it.
Are we going into our Sven and Boris era? We're selectively documenting the history of mountain biking. I love this.
I think I had multiple times where I was jumping over one of them last year.
You got to keep it on course. Come on.
They still yell at me to get out of the way.
As they should. They got to keep you humble. Spomer got a new camera, and he gave me his old. We just refer to it as like the dad cam. I don't know cameras at all. You hold it kind of like a dad cam, but it's like 4K and shit. But now I have that, so we can make raws all day long now. I think everything's auto. I like pretty much can't mess it up. And you can zoom. You can zoom like 5 blocks away. It's great.
It's not like a 4x or anything like that. It's a 5-block zoom.
I think it's 30 or something. Like it's really high. 25. I don't know. Maybe that's the lens. It's big. So now we can film stuff.
Sick.
We don't have to like make it all fancy and edit on fancy shit and just turn shit around real quick.
Nice.
Okay. This was fun. I really just wanted to chat more than the podcast. So I want to make a point to do this more often.
I really like it because I think that, I don't know, it seems like people quite enjoy the off the cuff podcast a little bit. So it's good to jump on.
It is.
Chat shit.
Shout out to Maxis and BergTech for sponsoring this. We did lose I-9, and be honest with everybody. No hard feelings.
Sad.
That's how she goes. But thank you to them for supporting this. I think the past 2 years, 3 years. And reminder, they got rocked by that hurricane real bad a few months ago. So if you feel inclined, go support them. They make really good stuff. So yeah, man, it's kind of it. I'm trying to work a few more ad deals for us for this thing, but don't tell them. But like, we're gonna do the podcast whether we got sponsors or not. So
I mean,
kind of how Vital rolled. We're gonna do it regardless. So
I'll see what I can work on. If we need some.
I put the word in with Todd to chat with E13. I'm like, I know it's like you might end up just with all your sponsors, but I like E13 and everyone over there, and they make cool shit. And so I've been wanting to redo our ads and do them on the fly when we do these, like do the podcast. So once we get those established, we'll get some entertaining things going. When the race season's going, we got the fun segments that I think work pretty well. So no more buzz report. We'll have to figure that one out.
We're not exactly pulp at this point in time, but I think we're doing pretty good.
We are not. No.
Yeah, we definitely aren't as good as Steve Mathis with his.
He's pretty.
Oh, it was brought to you by.
Brought to you by. Brought to you by.
Every minute.
See,
off the cuff. First
everybody
thing to come to when you think of
brought to you by Maxis. Brought to you by BergTech.
Support them. That's what I got.
I want to. Yeah, exactly. We gotta make it entertaining. We gotta pepper it in there so people can't skip it. That's the key.
I definitely skip over the middle of pulp. The commercial break where they refill their drinks.
Same with
Swap.
Swap.
I'd skip over that. Same.
I hit
Swap.
the arrows on Swap for a while.
I haven't.
9 Club. Any of them.
Don't tell Swap.
Joe Rogan, if you've listened to that, I don't. You don't listen to Swap?
I don't know Swap.
I listen to it for A-Ray.
Yeah. I've been
everyone else I'm meh, but
he gets
A-Ray's
some good guests in there. I was just listening to the Hayden Deegan one.
So I listen to Swap. I listened to Ricky Carmichael Villapoto.
Yeah, Title 24.
Then I listened to the Weege
stuff is good.
Show, the Weege Mathis show. I listened to that one.
Adam Cianciarulo.
I've been listening to the Daniel Blair Mathis one.
Yeah, Daniel Blair Mathis.
Daniel Blair is great.
Yeah, Blair Mathis project. I like that, and he's out here now, which is sick. I also listen. The Adam Cianciarulo ones are really good. I would like to get something running like
him on the MX Companions has been really good.
Really,
Gypsy. Yeah, he's on the. They do the rewatch on like Mondays or whatever.
So he's so much better than me at podcasting, but I would like to get there someday. That's my hopes and dreams.
For everybody that was looking for a new podcast, here's your Moto one, at least, you know.
The Moto one. I just really have enjoyed like all Adam Cianciarulo's podcasts. Like,
dude, his Gypsy ones are super good.
Are so good, and it's like he talks like he's pretty off the cuff and talks about like a lot of good stuff. And then I feel like I do that, and then I read the comment, and they're like, "Oh, why would Mondraker hire somebody that's dead?" And I'm like, this is why I don't share anything with you guys.
Well, your first mistake was reading the comments.
We're all human here, buddy.
I saw a comment that
Those
on the
real
last
people.
one that someone was like, wow, like they try to compare you to a UFC fighter and like saying that like this UFC fighter doesn't ride moto because it's dangerous. And like I'm like, yo, dog, like you're way out of line here.
Where were these
saying that, like,
comments? YouTube?
it was on YouTube. Yeah.
Dude,
I was like,
I
dude,
get
like,
those notifications. I don't
like
even
riding moto is like a direct correlation to downhill. Like it's a
painful.
training. Like you can get hurt in the gym training for UFC, but yeah, like
Dude, I hate the comments. That's why sometimes I just don't open up about this. Sometimes I read them, and I know I shouldn't. Sometimes I do, and I just want to rage. I want to fight. I'm trying to do a public service here in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I'll help somebody. You know, maybe somebody else has problems too. I guess I just forgot that everybody's lives are perfect.
Start responding. Come on,
dude. I actually did a couple times, and then I feel like a real nerd fighting with people in the comments.
It's actually a good way to bring you back to earth. Is you respond to a few, and then you realize it doesn't do anything, and then you're like, wait, this is all for nothing anyway.
Yeah, this dude is. Yeah,
this is probably a bot at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is a bot farm in China.
I don't know where we were.
Well, it was a great podcast. Thank you all for listening.
Love responding to comments.
Yeah,
I like
leave a comment below. We'll make sure not to read it.
The team rumors, just give it a big stir. Just
if I comment on you, you're a nerd. You're a nerd. That's all I'm gonna say. You're a nerd.
Careful what you ask for. People might be trying to seek that.
I know.
All right. Thanks, dudes. I appreciate you making the time.
Hey, thanks, dudes.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We'll do this again. We'll plan to do this at Tennessee National, even if we have to do it kind of ghetto, or maybe it's just audio, or we all stare at the same laptop. We'll figure it out.
We got like 100 GoPros.
That's what I'm kind of saying. We all just wear one, and then I'll film you, you film me, we'll film Dakota,
and I'm gonna watch you edit this.
No, I'll just send it to Logan or somebody. Be like, sorry, I don't know which one's camera A or B. All right. That's it. It's over.
Later.
Pew 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 pew.